Welcome to Secrets of Social Impact Communicators, the podcast where we explore how nonprofit leaders can breathe, lead, and grow. I'm your host, Nate Burt, founder of Silver Maple Strategies. Today, I'm really excited to be talking with Mary Kay Ziniewicz, who's the founder and CEO of Bus Stop Mamas. I will disclose that I have a personal vested interest in Bus Stop Mamas, not because I'm a shareholder or being paid to say this, but because I've actually had success within my organization, Silver Maple Strategies, hiring talent. In fact, my awesome marketing assistant, Audrey, I mentioned her in the interview with Mary Kay. But again, I love what Mary Kay is doing to connect women with extraordinary talent who have left the workforce to have kids and are looking to re-enter or looking to change careers, look for new opportunities, really creating a human-centered public benefit framework for a hiring process that so often when I talk to my friends, others who are looking for work, a process that could be a real nightmare. And so Mary Kay has found a way to make Bus Stop Mamas a place where women who are looking for work can connect directly with a human at the employer, and vice versa. The employers know that these are people who are excited, who are talented, who want to do the work. It's a real win-win, and I love the story of how Mary Kay came to this point, the impact that she's having, her observations on trends in the workplace, the economy, AI, job applications, and some of the social conditioning that we have that makes it a real struggle to help women break through in ways that they should be able to break through in spades. So love what she's doing. I think you're going to get a ton of value out of today's conversation. I will also say this episode pairs really nicely with a post I published recently on our website. You can get that at silvermaplestrategies.com. And that is the courage to ask, rethinking sales and your nonprofit fundraising strategy. So I think why I say this, if you go to the services section on our website, you can get that blog completely for free. Again, the courage to ask, rethinking sales and your nonprofit fundraising strategy. It's not because today's conversation with Mary Kay focuses on sales, but it's about courage. The courage to rethink the status quo, the courage to dream boldly, the courage to not settle for whatever life or the economy throws at you, right? I see too often as we're working with clients, there is so much potential, there's so much vision, and the whims of the marketplace, the political ecosystem, the environmental issues of the day, these are all very real things, by the way, but they often distract us from the true potential, the ability to dream, the ability to have greater impact. And so what I want to challenge you with is you're reading this blog post about fundraising specifically, and as you're listening to Mary Kay and specifically thinking about your team, your leadership, your impact, the role of women and moms in the workplace and in nonprofits and impact work specifically, have courage. Like, don't be ashamed of that. Don't be afraid of that, right? There is natural fear baked into anything you do that's new or vulnerable. But the more that we can encourage each other in this community to take courage, to try new things, to break the status quo, to break the mold and say what's possible, the more impact you're going to have, the happier you're going to be at work, the more joy you can experience, and the more people's lives will be positively impacted because you were willing to make those changes first. So with that, let's dive into this episode with Mary Kay. I think you're going to get a ton of insight. And again, thanks so much to Mary Kay and the team at Bus Stop Mamas for making the interview possible. Here's the interview with Mary Kay. Well, I am so thrilled to have with us today Mary Kay Ziniewicz, founder and CEO of Bus Stop Mamas. Mary Kay, thank you for making time in your busy schedule to join me today.
Thanks for including me. This is super exciting and a nice deviation from my day-to-day for sure.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that, Mary Kay. I will be totally upfront and say if I have a conflict of interest here, it's that I have worked with your business and had tremendous success. My amazing all-star marketing assistant, Audrey, came through recommendation of Bus Stop Mamas, and I couldn't be more thrilled. She's really just helped us and our clients really take things to the next level of excellence. And, I'd love to step back for a minute. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Bus Stop Mamas and your vision and where you're headed with your mamas. Before we do that, though, I wonder if you could tell us, Mary Kay, a little bit about yourself and what you do at Bus Stop Mamas.
That's always my most uncomfortable question. I am a wife, a mother, and I'm the CEO of Bus Stop Mamas, founder and CEO. So as a founder and CEO of a company, I do many things that I have absolutely no experience doing and learn every single day. And I am regularly humbled and growing, and I get excited by all of those things. So I guess I'm just a constant learner and trying to be better at life and work and everything else.
Well, being better at life and work, being a constant learner, those are all things I think we can all relate to. So I really appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that, Mary Kay. I think you've accomplished a lot, and I know you're just getting started in many respects. Can you tell me a little bit about when you first knew you wanted to pursue purpose-driven work and what excites you about what you get to do every day?
So I love challenging perceptions. That is something I've done throughout my career. But if I'm able to back up about 20 years when I was the director of marketing at a law firm, this is when I truly learned this, that it's what I do, it's what I love to do, and I learned how to do it. So with challenging perceptions, I was working at a law firm, and here I was being asked to market lawyers, right? And what's social good there? So I started working there. I came from advertising promotions agencies and put together my first year working with them a marketing plan and pitched it to the 14 shareholders. Everybody looked at each other, said nothing. And I went about moving forward this business plan I had, that marketing plan I had for the firm over the next year, and completed every single thing that I had on it, accomplished some huge things. And at the end of the year, I got my reviews from about 35 lawyers. These reviews were scathing reviews. They were, you don't know us, you don't know what you're doing. I was so hurt and upset about this. And I thought, I'm going to leave the firm.
Sure.
Because that's what anybody would do, right? On the heels of getting those reviews, the same weekend, I received a call from the Star Tribune, and they were featuring my work at the firm and the firm on the front page of the business section. And then I got a call from an international legal publication that was also featuring my firm and the work we did on the cover of that publication, and doing a huge story about the strategy and at the firm, the marketing strategy that I built for the firm. And I was feeling pretty built up. Went from 0 to 1,000, and I thought I was the best marketing director in the whole wide world. My managing partner and I were going to a marketing partner forum out in Florida. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to just be groveling and saying, oh, we are so stupid, all of us lawyers, and you're such a fantastic marketing person. But instead, what he said was, 5 lawyers are turning 50, and I'd like you to plan a birthday party for us. That really social purpose work, right? And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I am out of here. I am so out of here. But instead I said, okay. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm just going to put together this videotape of each privileged decade of their lives, and bam, that's what they're going to get for their gift. And I'm getting out of here. So I start planning this video, 5 decades of their lives. And in the process, I was meeting with their significant others. I was meeting with their spouses. I was meeting with their children. I was meeting with their parents in some cases. And they were giving me photos, to include in this secret video that I was putting together for this 50th birthday party for 5 lawyers turning 50. And I was reading a Vanity Fair magazine. So in this process, I was learning a whole bunch of things about these lawyers and things that they really wanted to be instead of a lawyer, sad things that happened in their life, losses that happened in their life. And I was reading a Vanity Fair magazine one weekend, and I saw this article for the Ralph Lauren car exhibit at the Boston Museum of Art. And I thought, oh my gosh, Howard would love this. He loves fashion. He loves fast cars. He loves Boston. So I called the curator of the show, and I said to the curator, I'm planning a party for a lawyer turning 50. I mean, who cares, right? And I asked, do you have any ideas for a present for him? He loves everything about your show. And he said, how about if I give him a personal tour, him and his wife, of the show? And from that moment on, I started finding experiences that were unique to each one of these lawyers, unique to who they were as people. Then there were 5 of them. These were spectacular things, Nate, things that I had just called anybody. I didn't know these people. And I got a lawyer that got a free pass to the Roger Ebert Film Festival in Illinois. And he actually got to meet Robert Ebert for free. All of these spectacular events, all based on who they were personally. And I would contact people about something that they did and say, I know somebody who loves it, and will you help me with a gift for them? So all of this was like transforming. This entire journey was transforming for me. And during the whole time, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. But I'm experiencing a transformation in my life of how people do things for people, how I was doing things for people and I wasn't even really realizing it at the time. And then the day of the party came. It was at Lake Mead in Nevada, at Ritz-Carlton, that's no longer there. And I got to give these gifts to these lawyers with all of their partners around them. First, we watched the video and they all cried. It was all about them. And when lawyers do cry, they shed real tears all the way. And then I got to give them their experiences. And this is really where the magic happened in my life, is I got to share with all of the partners experiences that were unique to their partner. They worked with for 20 years and they didn't even know these things about them. What happened in that moment was I demonstrated my commitment to their success. I demonstrated that I cared about them. And what took place after that was I could do anything I wanted and get their support because they trusted me and they knew that I had their back. And it was really a transformative time in my life because I learned how to do my job. I not only learned how to do my job better, like I could say, oh, I did a great job because I had all of these outside accolades. But I didn't do my job because I didn't have my internal audience as recognizing that I had their backs. And from then on, I knew that the most important thing in any initiative I was going to do needed to be about others. It needed to be 100% about others for huge return.
Sure.
And that was the moment of my life that really changed everything. Long answer. That's my story. That's how I started doing things that made sense for everybody. And then from there, when I said I was able to do whatever I wanted, I was able to create programs that were really all about other people, including our audience outside of the firm, our internal and external and business development efforts that were all combined, all about other people. Shining light on other people really was very rewarding in many ways. You don't have to have a social company to make things better in the world, is my point.
Absolutely. What an incredible story. And what it, like you to use your word, transformation, just thinking about the awful, really discouraging experience that you had, early on in your marketing career, and then being able to transform that into something that is completely original, completely human centered, totally outside of the box, but deeply meaningful to those attorneys turning 50 in ways they probably never dreamed of. I imagine that must have been extremely validating. And it sounds like also a bit of a light bulb moment for you. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, the friendships I gained out of it are lifetime. Those 5 lawyers, to this day, I just went to lunch with one of them. They recall that special moment. And when you can touch a life and make somebody else feel something positive about themselves and have a memory that lasts, that's pretty powerful. That is what I think life is about. And to your point, Nate, about, the bad thing happening and turning it around, I kind of think it's less of turning it around and more like these bad things that happen in life that are inevitable in life. Those are the moments. Those are the moments. Those are like those special moments that are handed to us to grow from, because that's how we grow. When we get critical feedback and we're able to figure out, how can I be better? How can I be better? How can I do it better? So if life is all peachy keen and flowery all the time, we would be so boring and never innovate, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love what you've said, Mary Kay, about using those moments of challenge, of hardship as moments to grow and to learn and as a springboard to whatever comes next. I think that's tremendous. And one of the things I think that really stands out to me, again, in the short few years that I've known you, is the work that you're doing through Bus Stop Mamas. And it stands out for a few reasons, which I'm sure you'll get into, but you're really sort of flipping traditional hiring on its head. You're really focused on the human connection. You know, we hear so much, I think, negativity in the job market, and probably rightly so, right? People are struggling. There's increased use of AI to screen people's resumes and for people writing their resumes. I think there becomes this point where the whole job seeking process becomes very, mechanical or non-human centered. And so I think you're doing something very different. And I applaud that and would love for you to maybe go into a little more detail about how your model works and why it's so powerful in today's job market.
Yeah. So thanks for saying all that and noticing it all. So our promise, Bus Stop Mama's promise to moms is, you will get through, you will meet the boss. That's our promise. And our promise to employers is, you will meet people who want to work for you, like you experience, Nate.
Yes.
And our method is driven by moms. Moms select jobs. We post jobs that employers post these jobs on our website. They pay to post those jobs on our website to reach her. Moms self-select the jobs. They decide if they have an interest, the skill set, and if the schedule meets theirs. We don't have a robot saying, hey, mom, this is the job for you. And the reason for that is, we don't know what moms want, right? Like, sometimes a mom wants a job that is totally different than what her experience in the past was. Maybe she, 4 kids later, wants to be an administrative assistant. And prior to that, she was a chief marketing officer. But
Sure.
now she just wants to do something that she knows she can do, that she doesn't have to bring home, that will add some value to her life in some way. Anyways, we don't judge her. We let her select. And when she does, she gets to select, introduce me, and then she gets instantly introduced to the decision maker through an email introduction like a friend. No other platform does it like this. And our method is very purposeful. We know that she doesn't always get through that automated tracking system. She typically doesn't. She typically doesn't know the buzzwords, typically has some gaps, or maybe she doesn't have any gaps and she still doesn't get through. It's hard to get through. The people that get through in these systems know how to game it. Moms don't necessarily know how to game the system, nor does she want to. So our system is about honesty. Moms select, they select the jobs that fit their schedule, and then they're personally introduced to the decision maker. And then we encourage our moms to be the first one to respond. Let them know why you want this job. And the way that this kind of was conceived was, I just pictured these women who I was standing out at the bus stop with 15 years ago, well, probably less than 10 years ago. And many of these women had attempted to go back to work to no avail, got quick rejections, no rejections at all. These were highly skilled women looking for jobs well beneath their skill set. And then their self-esteem would suffer. And they thought, nobody's going to hire me. Nobody wants me. And I knew otherwise. I knew if the people I worked with had an opportunity to meet these incredible women, they'd hire them in a heartbeat. Problem was, they never got to meet them. I've envisioned it like carrying that help wanted sign into the business and saying, I want this job. Who wouldn't want to hire somebody that wants that job so bad?
Yes.
So that's how Bus Stop Mamas was.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mary Kay. And I think to your point about guaranteeing you're going to get contact with the owner, the person who's making the decisions within the organization, and making sure that the hiring individual is able to actually have direct contact with people who not just are applying for random jobs, but really do want the work. And I think that's such a powerful differentiator for you. I love that. I know in various things you've written and published, you've talked about some of the really striking statistics about moms in the workforce. And please push back if I'm getting any of these incorrect. Something like 43% of women leave the workforce after having their first child. And yet we have this enormous talent pool of women. 65% of college graduates are women. So what systemic or structural barriers do you see holding moms back beyond the sort of technological barriers you've talked about, right? The maybe automated screening of resumes and people who know how to gain them get through and everybody else gets left behind. What are the maybe bigger picture here of barriers or challenges that moms face? And how are you working to overcome those on behalf of those women?
Yeah, well, all of your stats are correct. One thing I'll add to that 43% is that's been a static statistic for the last 55 years. 43% of women exit their career after their first child is born, which means that a whole lot has stayed the same, right?
Sure.
And why have things stayed the same? Well, at the same time, things haven't stayed the same because we have more women that graduate from college than men. And that is a huge flip-flop, which means for employers, your hiring pool is now very different in terms of gender options.
Yes.
Now it's like 50-50 of people, where it wasn't always like that. And even more of her has those extra credentials to be hired. So what does that mean for employers? That means that, heck, this is an opportunity to learn new ways to keep her under the roof at work. But the barriers are, and when I mentioned that I loved challenging perceptions, that's what Bus Stop Mamas is about, is challenging perceptions of her value. College debt is high. Children are expensive. Women aren't stupid. We know as soon as we have a baby, our earning potential is marginalized. And what's happened as a consequence is women are waiting longer and longer to have babies. We understand this to be a shift in the family, in the business, and it doesn't make any sense. Nobody, when I shed light on, hey, why should we penalize moms for making the world go round? Literally.
Yes. Right.
Without her, there are no people. And for delivering a person, her career is impacted.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's better ways. So, and I do know, like when I talk about challenging perceptions, most people are good. And most people, when they stop and think about something, they'd be like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But we've been doing it this way for so long. But this is the way it's designed. The work day was designed because we had a totally different society 100 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, there had been progress in many ways and in other ways. And in my opinion, the most important way is, with how we bring people into this world, she is that vessel. And as long as she's that vessel, we're never going to change that 43% of women who exit their careers because it's a different journey for her than it is for him. And she's needed under both roofs, and she wants to be under both roofs. So what we do at Bus Stop Mamas is we challenge the perceptions. Like, we know that she's needed under both roofs. The employers know that, and that's why they come to us. But importantly, they know it when they're investing in these young women right out of college, grooming them, spending a lot of money in training them. And then 10 years, 15 years into her career, she leaves. That's a big loss for the employer. They need solutions, but we haven't stopped and thought about it. So Bus Stop Mamas is shining the light on her value, shining the light on, hey, this is an opportunity to do things different and better. Most of our leaders understand this. They understand that they either have a wife or they have a daughter or they have a sister. There's a direct connection to understanding the need to do things a little bit differently for her.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Kay, for sort of giving the context of sort of where we sit with those statistics and how we can do better by these, again, incredibly talented women who are literally the reason all of us are here. And I'm so curious. I think one of the questions I had posed to you, and you've addressed this already, is sort of the what's broken, right? You already articulated that really eloquently. I wonder if I could sort of push that a step further and ask you, why is it broken, right? Why are we still having this kind of a conversation as we're recording this in July of 2025? If there were one or two factors you would point to, not to put you on the spot, but are there things you would point to and say, if we only fixed this, it would solve 80% of the problem? Or is it more nuanced than that?
I think it's a lot of social grooming that we've had over the years and throughout our lifetime. And things are evolving, even from the time I started Bust Out Mamas in 2019 and how we talked about moms and the things I would hear to today. There's been an evolution. Like I would be told, oh, you can't talk about moms. That's too exclusive. You need to be more inclusive. And at the time, I understood talking about moms as being very inclusive. And there's been an evolution of thought from just 2019 to today, where inclusion now means everyone, including mom,
Sure.
including her. And that's more of like social conditioning in many ways. And then we have that preferred formula of what is an exceptional candidate for this job. That is something ingrained over the years of what we believe a candidate needs to be successful. And a lot of those beliefs are, quite frankly, rubbish. And we have a lot of data to support that they are rubbish, but the data doesn't get considered. We look at data from a lens that doesn't challenge our social perceptions, but supports them. And that's, again, what I get excited about. You know, every day, businesses look at their turnover. Some, it's higher than others. But when you are turning over people in a way that you're losing a lot of money, which turnover is bottom line law.
Sure.
And we keep doing things the same way. We keep judging the resumes, having our same resources that we turn to for finding candidates, that candidates we know are gaming the system. They say something that's not true and we buy them and we keep doing it. So there's like repetitive things that need to be disrupted. And nobody likes to hear that they're wrong. Nobody likes to hear you're doing it wrong. It's hard to get people to change. Everybody's not motivated by getting negative feedback. But what we do know is that there's a positive thing here. The positive thing is we have all these really awesome people who haven't been getting through that formula, that it doesn't work for a whole group of people. And every time we have an employer that hires like you and shares it and has a success story, and we have a lot of them, our retention rate is 85% stay well over a year with their employer. That is like dollar sign for the employer. And 65% of those women hired through Bus Stop Mamas get elevated to upper level positions within the time they're with employers, which is a long time. The people who were hired in 2019 and 2020, 85% of them are still with their company.
Wow.
So I'm very proud of that. And the only way to advance thought and make progress is with positive, shining the light on, here's what you're missing. And you've got an opportunity here and you've got absolutely everything to gain by trying something new.
Wow. I love that. Mary Kay, thank you for sharing that. And I think you're right. There's so much upside here and very, very little of any downside. And it strikes me that we are living in an era when, again, recording this in 2025, a big part of this actually you've identified is social conditioning and mindset. And one of the questions I was curious for your perspective on is that sort of we sit here right now, we have persistent inflation, we have artificial intelligence transforming jobs and leaving many people very uncertain about the future of their specific career, especially knowledge work. We have ongoing tension between remote work versus return to work policy. So, what trends are you watching, both in terms of things that are maybe challenging to the clients you serve, the moms that you serve reentering the workforce? And then give us, if you have one or two elements, maybe of a silver lining as far as the marketplace as it exists for women today.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm really fascinated with, well, since COVID, the explosion of remote work and how the perception of remote work has shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say shifted, I mean shifted in many different ways. So it went from being like pretty rare to everybody had it to only certain professions adapted to it, white collar service behind desk type
Sure.
job only adapted to it exclusively, 100%. That is easy. But a lot of the work that is done in the economy and makes the world go round can't be remote work. And it was funny to me during the COVID days when I would hear, oh, everybody should be working remote. And this at the same time, people were ordering their Amazon, getting everything delivered. And there was no concept of how did these products get made, who's making them, how did they get to me? Everybody should work remote. So there was like a mentality there. And then there was the mentality of, I want remote work because remote work is the best work. Who wants to go to an office? Who wants to drive to an office? What's the value there? And so a trend I see, which isn't a trend, I see it as like a fascinating social adjustment, which my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And back in those days, we knew that stay-at-home moms were lonely. Everyone would talk about, women would watch their soap operas. These were like stereotypes.
Sure.
And they were lonely and they were depressed. And we have this a very similar version of this happening now with remote work. Remote work can be very isolating. Remote work is very lonely. And at the same time, businesses are missing out on a lot of the community that takes place at work. And I don't know about you, Nate, but me, before Bus Stop Mamas, before COVID, actually, because we had an office before when we started, and now we're all remote. So I speak directly from experience. My whole team is remote. I work remotely, and we suffer from community because we're on a call once a week, and then we disperse once a week for 1 hour. And I don't know a whole lot of things about these people I work with, but when I worked in an office, I knew everything about everybody.
Sure.
I had friendships. There's so much that's being lost in the remote mentality, and it's going to strike us. So that's a trend that I keep watching. And for women, especially, it's working against us in some ways. And I'm not saying that remote work is bad because I think it's great. And many of the women in our network have special needs children, and remote work is the only work that they can have. And that's fantastic that we're able to connect them with that work. At the same time, it's lonely and isolating. And when we hear about community all the time, we keep removing ourselves from community. So I think a trend is going to be, and women especially, because we typically are exiting our careers to care for our children, we're falling into a lot of this remote work and looking at it as a godsend, and it is in many ways. It's also preventing us from being seen in the office, being promoted because we're not seen. Because when you're not at the table, you're going to be the first one that gets cut when there are layoffs, as you mentioned. The economy is changing, but it's not just the negative of being cut. It's that personal piece of satisfaction, of friendships that I think is really suffering. And businesses are suffering because of it, because they don't have the same community under their roof, a culture that is connected through friendships. And the individual is suffering at the same time. And I'm afraid that a lot of younger moms who may not be aware of the impact of remote work on their life, on their connection, on their friendship, on their, for me, I like to see what people are wearing and how people are communicating. And we only have ourselves. And that is, there was a term in the 80s, cocooning. I think we've taken cocooning into an unhealthy space. And for women, it's impacting us at a higher level than our male counterparts.
Well, Mary Kay, I'm so glad you've called out that cocooning. Again, speaking as a man and running my own business and doing it largely, almost exclusively remotely, it can be very isolating. And again, that doesn't take into account all of the unique factors that women are facing, women who are moms, women who are caretakers, maybe for seniors or elderly parents, and doing obviously multidimensional far above and beyond that. So I think what you're saying is so important and a conversation that we need to have as a culture here in the United States, certainly, but globally. I'm really appreciative for you raising that. I know it's not necessarily an easy solve, but something that we have to figure out how to bake community into what we're doing. I am curious, sort of building on that theme of community, you've had tremendous retention and women who are rising through the ranks of their organization who are hired through Bus Stop Mamas. I'm curious, what are you finding in cases where your employers and the moms that you've helped match really sync up? Like, is there any sort of a secret sauce or recipe that makes that work? Because again, you've mentioned how disconnecting and maybe disempowering the hiring process can be in general. So I'm curious what you're finding is working within your organization.
Yeah. So we know that moms love, we call them fast cash gigs, or on the employer side, like looking for a pinch hitter.
Yes.
So we pouring into getting more gigs or the fast cash gigs. We recently had an employer come to us and they said, oh, we have somebody out on FMLA and we need somebody to replace them by the end of the week. And we're like, okay, let's post the job. We posted it quickly, and it was for an accountant position. And they got 40 interested candidates in no time at all and had to pause it. And they hired somebody very quickly. They only had a short window of time to do it. So we see this as a huge opportunity for us. Now, we've been doing these fast cash gigs since we started. And we do know that there's a lot of moms that are afraid to commit because they haven't been at work in a long time. But if they know they have a start and an end time, they can do it. And they want to do it. And they bring exceptional skill sets to the table. And it gets them out of the house, which is, as I mentioned, another thing that women are craving right now is get out of the house, be around people. So these gigs, we're doing more and more of them because we know our moms love them. And it's really serving a need for the employer to have a resource that is hard to find and is super affordable, like Bus Stop Mamas is. And you don't have to do it through a temp agency or a recruiting firm. You just post it on Bus Stop Mamas and you can find somebody to come in and work for a few months while that person is taking care of their parents or having a baby or whatever the need might be.
That's tremendous, Mary Kay. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you're really listening to the clients that you serve, these moms, and helping provide solutions like creative hiring and placement solutions that are really meeting them where they are with their current life circumstances, with their professional goals. that's really, I think, a good, in any social impact work where you're thinking about what is in the best interest of our clients, what's in the best interest of society. I think too often we sort of jump to conclusions and build products and services and programs that maybe get us 50% of the way there. But if we really stopped and listened, we can make so much more progress that's better for everyone. So that's really powerful. What's one question, Mary Kay, about motherhood and workforce participation that no one's asking but should be?
Well, we hear about childcare pretty much every day nonstop, right? Everybody talks about childcare and the need for childcare and assume that everybody wants childcare. And it's a fundamentally flawed perception. And again, a social perception. I know we have over 30,000 moms in our network, and I've talked to personally to thousands of moms. One part of that childcare is every mom doesn't want childcare, but importantly, childcare isn't available for everyone. We know cost is one part, but the other part is there simply aren't enough people to provide childcare.
Right.
And then you have the piece of who's watching my kid. And that's a hard thing for a lot of parents to feel good about somebody else, a stranger, in many instances, watching their child. And if everybody had childcare, let's just say we could wave a magic wand and everybody got childcare, we still wouldn't have everybody buying childcare for free, even if it was free and you can have it. We would still opt out because we hear it. I hear it every day from women. So I think that when we talk about mothers and workforce, there's an assumption that all she needs is childcare and then everything is fixed. But that's not the truth. Childcare doesn't fix that work piece. And we know this from another lens from Bus Stop Mamas, not only because it's what we hear from the moms we talk to, but in our network of 30,000 moms, over 50% of those moms are working moms. Those moms currently have jobs and they're looking to jump ship for the right opportunity that fits within the life cycle of their children. So we know for a fact that just because you're working and you have childcare, you want to keep that up. A lot of families don't. And if they had the option to do it differently, they would. And that's what we are doing for families and moms is we're offering a solution. I think that this is a misguided perception that everybody wants childcare and that childcare is a solution for all because it isn't.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, again, nuance and context. And again, knowing there are different factors at work here. It's not just about childcare and just maybe busting some of those myths so that employers who are listening out there are thinking, oh, there's real opportunity here. There are ways I could be listening or better serving women who happen to also be moms, either actively employed with us, those who might come to work for us in the future. I think this conversation and the insights you're sharing, Mary Kay, especially with that rich pool of 30,000 moms and thousands that you've talked to over the years, it's such a powerful set of insights to hopefully build a better, more inclusive, meaningful, rewarding workplace. As you're doing so many different entrepreneurial ventures, leading Bus Stop Mamas, what are you doing to stay sane amid the ups and downs of social impact work, Mary Kay?
Well, I get totally refreshed and picked up and refueled when I hear people like you, Nate, sharing positive experiences in their business and in their life. When we get testimonials from employers and when we get testimonials from moms, that is that's the fuel that keeps us going. And when I walk into a room and I'm asked what I do, and somebody will say, I found my job through Bus Stop Mamas. I can't even tell you how rewarding and satisfying that is. I just get goosebumps. Or when an employer will say, I hired from Bus Stop Mamas and, she's great. in front of other people. It's like, that is my charge. That is like, it's working. It's working. And it is hard to be a founder. And it's hard sometimes to be reassured of the impact. And when I do get those reassurances of the impact, it keeps me going for a long time.
I love that, Mary Kay. That's amazing. That has to be an amazing feeling. And my business coach, Ed Gandia, calls those key indicators of progress, right? It's not we hit these numbers in this data set, but it's we heard the positive affirmation from those who've had a tremendous experience as an employer, moms who found their work, not just moms, but extremely talented moms who are kicking butt and taking names. That's tremendous. I love that. Mary Kay, stories are a huge part of being a social impact leader. What's some story in your life, whether it's something you've read or watched, or maybe even a personal experience within Bus Stop Mamas within the past 12 months or so that's really struck a chord for you?
That is a question. The last year, the story that comes to mind, which is the most meaningful for me, is longer than a year ago. And it goes back almost 20 years ago by me not wanting to be a mom. And this is usually a very surprising story because I never wanted to be a mom. And I was blessed with being a mom. And when my husband and I had our first ultrasound, we fell in love with a dot. And our lives changed immediately on the spot. Lily was 6.5 weeks, and we were able to see her and hear her heartbeat. And I will tell you, Nate, that was the moment that my life changed the first time, and my husband's, and we became parents on the spot. But if I had things my way, I never would have been a mom. And that's the big thing for me, is my ways are not always the right ways. In fact, they're usually not. And I am so thankful every day that I was proven wrong. And I'm usually wrong. I say if I had a wrong meter on my head and looked at the mirror every day, it would say you were 99.9% wrong yesterday. And those moments of being wrong are the best moments in life when we find out we were wrong. And I am thankful every single day that I was proven wrong. And I have my beautiful daughter, who's now 19, that I am reminded every day of how wrong I was, because being a mother is the best thing in my life. And again, if I had it my way, I wouldn't have been here. But thank God I didn't have it my way. And I thank God every day for that. And being a mom is the best thing in the world for me. It changed my life and changed my husband's life. And it brings joy beyond anything I could ever have imagined before, and heartache and everything else. And it led me to Bus Stop Mama, because without being a mom, we wouldn't have Bus Stop Mamas. So I am full every day for being proven wrong.
That is so beautiful, Mary Kay. And I love the sort of juxtaposition of loving being wrong and frequently being wrong, which I'm right there with you, Mary Kay. Being wrong way more often than I am right. But wow, what a blessing to have Lily come into your life and sort of change the trajectory of everything after that. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. Mary Kay, as we wrap up our interview today, when people look back on your life and contributions, what do you want them to say about Mary Kay Ziniewicz?
I think that maybe they'll say who, and maybe somebody will say she founded Bus Stop Mamas, and Bus Stop Mamas influenced work built for mom life. And maybe they'll say, can you even remember when work didn't fit mom's life? I hope that Bus Stop Mamas changes the world, changes how she fits into the workplace so she can have kids and have a job that scales as her child progresses in life, from the car seat to the bus seat to the driver's seat and beyond. And if I can influence that change under the roof at businesses so moms can be it at the kitchen table and the boardroom table, I will be so happy. And it's not about me, which I think is super important. What I do is about others. And I want to elevate businesses and elevate moms, strengthen business, strengthen family, and strengthen the economy. And that's what we're doing at Bus Stop Mamas.
Amazing. Amazing, Mary Kay. I love that. Last question for you, and then I'll let you go. You've been so generous with your time and insights, and I know you are already changing the workforce, moms' lives, the world for a better place. So keep going. Where can people go to follow you and learn more about Bus Stop Mamas?
So Bus Stop Mamas, you can go to our website, which is busstopmamas.com, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can follow me, follow Bus Stop Mamas. I accept most invites, but Bus Stop Mamas is on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me anytime. My phone number, my email is on my website, our website, and would love to talk to you if you're a mom or if you're a business looking for people. We recently started corporate relationships that get discounted posts for volume. So if you have a company that posts a lot of jobs, give me a call. We'll save you a lot of money.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I hope everyone listening out there, go and check out busstopmamas.com. Follow Mary Kay on LinkedIn. Check out those great resources and opportunities she's mentioned, especially if you hire a lot of people and are looking to get tremendous talent and save money, optimize your finances in the process. It's way more than that, but definitely go check that out. Mary Kay Ziniewicz is founder and CEO of Bus Stop Mamas. Mary Kay, what a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your time and insights with my audience.
Well, Nate, thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for including me, and let's keep doing the good work, man. Right?
Let's do it. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Let's keep the collaboration alive, Mary Kay. Thanks again. Thanks so much and take good care.
Thanks. You too, Nate.
That's today's episode. I want to give a huge note of thanks to Mary Kay Ziniewicz of Bus Stop Mamas for that extremely thoughtful, really vulnerable conversation, talking about her own journey to motherhood, talking about being an entrepreneur, talking about the lives that she and her team are changing through Bus Stop Mamas. It's just so empowering, so encouraging. I hope you walked away with that as well. And I would encourage you again to check out busstopmamas.com. Again, full disclosure, I have worked with Bus Stop Mamas and been a huge, loyal fan ever since I met Mary Kay several years ago over LinkedIn, and then had the personal opportunity to hire through her team. And again, can't say enough good things. So check out Bus Stop Mamas and what Mary Kay and her team are doing. And also, again, just rethink how you're doing your work and within your nonprofit, within your social impact focused business. You look for opportunities to think creatively, be courageous, and recognize there are other leaders out there like you who were vulnerable and uncertain, did it anyway, and are really adding enormous value to the world. If that episode got you thinking, again, be sure to go check out that blog post I mentioned. Go to silvermaplestrategies.com and check out the resources section. Look for the blog, and you'll find that article on courage and so much more that I hope can be helpful to you in your social impact journey. Until then, I'm Nate Burt. Lead like you live. Thanks again for being here. Bye-bye, everybody.